Whatever happens, at least we're out of that mud hole, Gilded Vale. I grew up in Gilded Vale. Quaint. That's what I meant to call it. No, you had it right. Hey, Oloth, can I, talk to your, your friend? What is it about Isilmir? I'm right here, you know. No, you're both great. It's just, well, I feel like I don't get to spend as much time with her, and she's just so funny. I mean, some of the things she says are not nearly as funny when you've been hearing them for 50 years. Next time we get the chance, I'm buying you a pint. That means a lot, Adair. Oh, do you want one too? Sorry, I meant for Isilmir. I'll get you one too. Sagani, does your fox bite?
Yes.
Can I pet him anyway?
It's your hand.
I'm gonna pet him.
How's the hand?
Turning purple. I'd have to cut it off.
I warned you not to pet him.
If I'm not supposed to pet him, why is he so soft?
You're from Gilded Vale? Then you're close to home.
Close can mean a lot of things.
Surely you'll go back when this is all over.
Dunno. Guess that all depends.
You fought for the Deerwood in the Saints' War?
We'd better grab a couple pints before you get me going on that one.
No complaints here.
Adair, how is it you Eothasians stay so optimistic? The world has not given your kind much reason to hope.
You get to a certain point and you realize you got two options. You can go mad with grief and tear out all your hair and check yourself into the sanitarium, or you can wait for better days.
Well, feathers in my case. But I understand your point. Do you still have family living in the Deerwood, Adair?
No, not these days. Parents left the country years back during the purges. I think about them a lot.
It's a shame you and your family suffered, even after the Saints' War ended. You Deerwoodans certainly have a knack for holding on to old grudges.
So those feathers, that's a blessing of Helia?
So they say.
Well, that's lucky. Where I'm from, we see a feathered lady, we start worrying maybe her dad got frisky with his hens.
I guess you can always trust a farm boy's head to go there first.
You work for the Dukes of the Valian Republics, huh?
For as long as they will allow.
Must be nice always knowing who you're supposed to serve.
Well, there are 5 of them, but even so, knowing who is easier than knowing how.
Adair, you have said you fought in the Saints' War, but for which side?
The one that blew up my god.
I didn't mean anything by it. I imagine a man with a head made of fire and light could be very convincing.
Funny thing about Deerwoodans. With all that fire and light, they just treated him like another authority figure.
Your brother, did you and he get along?
We got along how brothers do. He used to throw water on me to wake me up in the morning. I used to fill his boots with stinging ants.
My own brothers and sisters are doing very well for themselves, back in Tekoa. I don't know that they'd search for me if I were killed so far from home.
Brothers can be funny. I bet you'd be surprised how far they'd go.
Ever tried 3-point nettle?
I used to smoke that a few years back. Loved the flavor, but got tired of smelling like it.
How about deer cap?
Long as I don't need to be anywhere for a couple days.
Ever spent an evening with a comely lass while on deer cap?
Thought that was a point.
No. What's impressive is cleaving a man's spine without lopping the head clean off. That takes aim.
Did that once. My case was an accident, and I still wake up some nights feeling bad for him. Been a pleasant surprise traveling with you, Horavius. My part of the country has a saying about Orlans. Face of skin, let 'em in. Face of hair, best beware. But you're more like a skin-faced Orlan. Wait, was that bad? I meant it as a compliment. Hey, I'm sorry about what I said before. About the skin-faced Orlans. I didn't know I was saying something bad. Now that we're friends again, is it okay if I pet you?
Segani, what is it like not to see your children for so long? I imagine it must be difficult.
Even in Masuk, I'm on the hunt more than at home. But 5 years. It's been a strain.
Then to your good fortune. Ado Vidorio. May you see them all again soon. Segani, I had heard that women do the hunting in Nasitak, but wasn't sure if I could believe it until I met you.
And I thought it was our raw meat diet that made us strange.
Well, that too, honestly. I've traveled thousands of miles on Valian trading ships, but never seen the shores of Nasitak. How did you find your way on your own, Sagani?
Well, it has taken 5 years, but Itamak never wants to ask for directions.
Perhaps you should take over as navigator in the future.
Like I always say, blame it on the fox. But if your dukes ordered you to return home...
The safety of the republics is being decided here. If I do what needs to be done, there'll be time enough to beg forgiveness when the dust settles.
You must do what you feel is best. I understand.
Verus, that makes 2 of us alone in a world of zealots and madmen.
This elder of yours, he may have returned a drunk or an invalid.
Maybe. But the search for Persoc is just as important as what I find.
Is that right? And what if you return empty-handed, eh?
I never return empty-handed.
Before I knew it, the Stelgar was on top of me, and I was face down in the dirt.
Arrow to the throat. That stops him.
What? No! I was spirit shifted, and she was in heat, so I aimed for the throat, but not with an arrow. And this gash here is from when I woke up with a wolf pack trying to eat me.
There. Mauled by a bear 7 years ago.
Oh yeah, look here. And here. Once the bull had me properly hooked on its horns, things got worse.
I always assumed Glonfathens preferred traditional weaponry. Yet you seem uneasy with the bow.
Oh, I was a great shot when I had 2 eyes. I'm much worse now. It's hard for me to judge distances.
Well, you have the luxury of being able to catch dinner without the need of a bow.
Exactly. Why aren't more women complimenting me on that?
Do you enjoy hunting with your Stelgar form? Or do you prefer traditional weapons?
Well, my favorite trick is to pretend I'm just a dead Orlan until something gets really close. Then I shift.
A clever tactic.
I'll say, I once killed a moose by giving it a heart attack. Ever tried vulture?
We don't have those in Nasitak.
Your loss. They can eat anything, so their stomach juices are sour and tangy, like ripe fruit.
My loss indeed. Of all the things I've gotten used to, food was the hardest adjustment.
I quite agree. Deer wouldn't oversalt everything and drown it in sauce.
And they burn out all the flavor. Nothing like a raw deer flank.
You've been on your own for 5 years,
I've had Itamak.
but you can't talk to him.
My standards changed around year 2. Son of a moose fucker!
I beg your pardon?
Sorry. Kalu's always telling me to watch my language, especially around the kids. Guess I haven't had a reminder in a while.
What happened?
One of them heard me tell a joke about a Glamfellan youth with frostbite somewhere sensitive. Kids repeat everything.
I meant just now.
Jam my thumb. Nothing big.
Aloth, never before have I met an Adiran man so hesitant to speak his mind.
I'm not hesitant. I just, like to consider my words carefully.
You should really hear yourself talk, amigo. You seem preoccupied with details, Aloth. Almost consumed by them, I'd say.
Once you've seen a colleague misuse Archimere's capricious hex, you learn an appreciation for details.
This sounds like wizard talk, so I'll just take your word for it.
Right fetching feathers, lass.
Repeat, please, in Adiran. And stand closer so I can grab your neck if you said what I think you did.
That was Isilmir. She likes your feathers.
Thanks, but I'm not interested, Isilmir.
Your own father sold you to the Brotherhood?
He hated me anyway. I was glad to be gone. The Dukes are my parents now. The Republics, my children.
That's an interesting way of looking at it.
So you really didn't know about the Leaden Key's activities?
You think I... look, I knew nothing about their attempts on your life, I swear.
What? No, I'm just wondering how the Leaden Key parcels out information. I did notice that the younger sorts didn't seem to wander off script very often.
Oh, you would find that more interesting, wouldn't you? You had 5 siblings?
That's right. Between the 6 of us, I don't think the house has known a single day's quiet. Of course, a little chaos makes it far easier to get away with mischief.
Yes, I can imagine that comes in handy.
I wonder, Aloth, don't you ever feel curious about Isilmir's history?
Not even a little.
But think of the opportunities. You could learn so much about the past.
There are some things I'm happy not knowing.
I'll grant you that animancy has had its failures, Balreach among them. But does that warrant attacks on innocent practitioners? Superstitious kith have spilled their share of blood.
That's no comparison. Animancers have the advantage of education, and with that comes authority and responsibility.
I have to say, it's wonderful to have someone to debate with. You'd think they'd be more welcoming of it at the law college.
Or we could enjoy a glass of wine and a comfortable silence.
Come now, it'll be fun.
No.
Even just a single...
I'm not calling Isilmir out just so you can learn he'll speak. I'll write down a few words.
Have you ever chased a skirt wizard, or do you merely hide behind them?
Don't pawn your personal problems off on me.
They will use you, cast you off when it suits them, never speak another word to you.
Maybe they just don't answer to fiery whore.
Bring back the feisty one. There's a woman can do some damage squeezing her legs together.
It isn't a parlor trick. Besides, she doesn't take orders well.
She has backbone, that woman. Does it scare you?
No, but I won't be responsible for what happens if you call her whore.
So, Aloth, have you ever woken up to find your other half used your body during the night?
I don't think I understand you. And I'm not sure I want to.
Well, I've found that if I go to sleep hungry enough, I wake up covered in blood and delightfully full. When you were a kid, did you dream that you'd live a life of arcane practice?
It was never my decision. But I've come to appreciate that it was made.
As a kid, I figured I was too stupid and impatient to learn magic. How about you, Aloth?
No. That was Isilmir, not me. Definitely Isilmir.
Oh, Kana. I just remembered an old Valian song. Maybe it was Dwarven. From when I was a girl.
Really? Let's hear it.
Vanimbe metse, senete de luces. Do you know it?
No, I'm afraid I can't say I've ever heard that particular tune.
Kana, what do you know about the legends of Old Valia? I only heard myths in my village, and stories at the Brotherhood.
Less than I'd like, and that from old books and the occasional trader. Tales of noble families and famed inventors. The Grand Empire, now fallen. But the myths are beautiful, aren't they? Bold heroes whose descendants dared to cross the Great Eastern long before the Deerwood was a kernel of a thought.
Ah, I wish I could have been alive to see the Empire at its height. But I suppose this new world is now ours to make. The legends ours to write. I have sailed many places with the Duke's fleet, Skana, but never have I seen the famed coral harbor of Rauatai.
It is worth the journey north, I promise you. Especially now that the Gate of Great Teeth is finished. A labyrinth of towering spires, gleaming red in the sun.
I doubt my duties will ever take me there, but at least your words have given me something to dream of.
I often dreamed of visiting the republics. There, at least, the people value trade.
Trade of all things, it's true. And competition between the republics keeps us strong.
Rauatai is a unified nation, with fleeter ships. Someday it may prove a worthy competitor.
There's more to dominating trade than fast ships. Maybe you could write a poem to help your countrymen figure it out. Something funny, big man?
I'm sorry, it's just... When you started shouting, that poor man looked as if he'd piss himself.
Nothing seems to trouble you much, does it, Kana?
Oh, I don't know. I never found much use in getting worked up over the little things.
Maybe to an Omawa, it all just looks like little things. Your coloration, Kana. You're an island Omawa, aren't you? What's it like in Deadfire? I've only heard tall tales.
I wouldn't really know. I've never been to any of the Deadfire settlements, and my parents told me very little, mostly pirate. From time to time, my mother says she misses the quiet of her village, but little else. She has always pushed my sisters to do what she could not as a child.
I don't miss my village. It's all just bad memories and the reek of fish guts to me now.
I've never been to Nasitak. Is it very cold? What creatures wander the tundra? How are your leaders chosen?
Do you always ask this many questions?
Well, that's just to get us started. Let me get out some parchment for notes.
Ask whatever you want. If I don't know, I'll make something up.
Ah, the life of a traveler. So many ruins to uncover, places to see.
Indeed. Though after 5 years, I'll be ready for a break.
It is true. You have been at it far longer than I. Where will you go next, when you have all the world to choose from?
Home, of course.
You must have seen some amazing sights on your way north.
Sure. Pirate cities floating in the archipelago. The mountain halls of these northern dwarves. Plenty.
I haven't been further south than the Deerwood myself. Maybe I'll come back after I've convinced the Ranganui and see all those things for myself.
I hope you do. All right, Kana?
Have you ever looked up and felt a sudden surprise at where you are? I think it's just sunk in that I'm a year out from home.
Only every day. You'll get used to it.
So, Kana, what do folks in Rawatai do for fun? Aside from each other? Do you just gape at every shiny object that comes along? Or is that just what you do when abroad?
Tekoa may be more traditional, but it has its share of festivals. Drink a little wine, find someone to dance with.
Wine and dancing? Oh, guess I had it all wrong. So no shark races and undersea orgies?
No, that's all true.
Are you staring at my eye patch or my ear stump?
Sorry, I was only thinking. The eyeless face seems to hound my steps. They say he unravels mysteries as well as hides them, but I'm starting to doubt it.
Wild does not unravel, but he helps guide you to the path of learning for yourself. If he gave us answers, the resulting knowledge would be without value.
You never get frustrated? With all these riddles and obtuse prophecies? Just once I'd like to get a clear answer.
And just once I'd like to meet a woman who goes into heat at the first whiff of Stelgar urine, but that's not going to happen either.
Does music sound different to you when your ears, or, well, ear, is another shape?
Yes, I find it unpleasant. Most everything seems shrill when I'm a Stelgar.
Maybe your keen senses just haven't heard truly fine music yet.
A masterfully crafted annoyance is still an annoyance.
And slew the ogre with one blow. What do you think?
Great, wonderful. What? Sorry, I lost track of things when you got to, the part about, when you mentioned the thing,
Would you prefer it if Nirawa were facing a Stelgar, while undressed?
How about half-dressed? Male on top, nothing on bottom. Tell the story like that next time.
If you've the time, Heravius, I thought perhaps you could tell me a little about the Glenfartham perspective on the Engwithins.
You mean the builders? I don't really want to get into it.
I promise not to comment. I'm a student of culture. It's hardly my place to judge.
Not that. If I started talking about the builders, it'll remind me that I ought to kill all of you for violating the sanctity of their lands.
You're right. It's a very personal question. Let's drop the subject. In Tekoa, we have a memorial for the Saints' War. They say a Rawatai artillery master contributed to the Godhammer bomb. I wondered
Of course. You want Rawatai to be a part of this history. Crow about how your people held the Deerwood. Maybe your Ranganui lied, Amawa.
On second thought, I'll ask Adair.
So you will go to your king and what? Implore him to curb his violent impulses? At the word of a heroic academic?
You don't usually grace me with your flattery, priest. What merits this attention?
All Rawatai's history is war, same as everyone. If only the world were led by soft-hearted giants who waste their muscles stroking their own quills. Oh, wouldn't that be grand?
I'm content to remain a burr in your boots. But here, if you but stand on the docks, you can single-handedly ensure no one ever sails to the Deerwood again.
Heravius, do people treat you badly because of how you look?
Are you kidding me? My face looks like a cautionary tale about the dangers of wild animals, and I'm even shorter than other Orlans my age. People just like to heckle me.
Don't ever let them. Be proud of who you are. They're the ones who should feel shame. Did your father teach you to hunt?
No, that task fell to the tribe's huntmaster, though he tried everything in his power not to teach me.
Were you a difficult student?
No, the huntmaster felt that meadow fur was a sign of weakness. I could do nothing right by him on account of my hair color.
I'm familiar with the sentiment. From the Valian republics to Erglan Thoth, narrowness of mind is truly universal. Heravius, do you really believe all that nonsense about being chosen by the gods?
I think they choose us with all the care and concern of choosing which fruit to pluck from a tree. I think the gods certainly use us, and I'm not yet convinced there's any greatness in being chosen as such. So, do you have feathers everywhere?
Etchosi?
You know, does your tiara match your tail feathers?
We're about to find out if your viscera match your fur.
Forget I said anything. I rather value my viscera.
With a cat's nose, how is it you failed to notice your rotten stench?
Failed to notice? Hardly. I put work into smelling this way.
I should have expected.
I never know what sort of game is downwind. I need to smell like part of nature, not an interloper. Pardon me, madam. I didn't see you there. My whole right side is sort of a blind spot.
No need to trouble yourself.
Well, I was wondering how long you've been... Oh, forget it. Probably no big deal.
Durance, do you take anything seriously? Or is the entire world just a setup for your idiotic punchlines?
The world is the punchline, Birdwoman. In all its weakness. Would you kill the messenger?
If he were as annoying as you, I'd consider it. You know, Durance, just because you follow the goddess of fire doesn't mean you need to literally consume everything you come across.
The fire is a favor I grant to those I meet. It makes them stronger, or it ends them mercifully if not.
The remaining unemptied beer steins of the Deerwood quake in fear.